Hey everyone, RK here. A couple weeks ago, Rusty and I promised we would film a live episode at CanFurence 2016 in Ottawa, Ontario. Unfortunately, the presentation we filmed wasn't great. All in all, we would much rather give you a proper episode than to try and polish a bad performance. So apologies on our part for making these promises for a live episode, and thank you for everyone who attended the panel, and an extra big thank you to everyone who came up to Underbite, Rusty, and I to say hi. Made it really special. We saw the photos you tagged. They're amazing. We also got more fan art, but that's a little more unrelated, and Rusty will discuss that in next week's EFT Update. During Anthrocon last year, I saw that my friend Clumsy ended up being interviewed by the Pittsburgh media.
Furries, we learned, hate when you call this a lifestyle. To them, it's a hobby, just a few days of the year.
For me, it's just a hobby, because I have a life outside of it. Some people are a little bit too much into it.
Secondly, it could be my confirmation bias, but I feel like the American media interviews a lot of Canadian furries.
Canada, oh, fuck Canada.
Clumsy in his interview noted that furry is not a lifestyle, that most furries are in it as a hobby and come from all walks of life, and I think we can all nod our heads in agreement with that, but we don't have to be satisfied with it either. The furry lifestyle is culturally effed. I take culturally effed and the furry fandom pretty seriously. I was laid off last year and I was working on effed in my spare time. It was a hobby. A friend of mine suggested that I should write a business plan for the show, and ever since I have been working on culturally effed full time. I'm trying to become a full-time furry. I have furry art on my walls, furry books on my bookshelf, and most of my t-shirts are culturally effed. Most of my t-shirts feature anthropomorphic animals. Most everyone in my life knows I'm a furry. So, do I live a furry lifestyle? So what are we talking about when I say hobby or lifestyle? Let's get into some super exciting definitions. Hobby is an activity or interest pursued for pleasure or relaxation and does not count as a main occupation. Or hobby refers to a small horse. The expression ride a hobby is to concern oneself excessively with a favorite notion or activity, like riding tiny horses. Lifestyle refers to the habits, attitudes, tastes, moral standards, economic level, etc. that together constitute the mode of living of an individual or group. This is a really interesting definition brought to us by dictionary.com when I googled lifestyle. Do furries have these things? Is there a moral standard that furries uphold, and do they bring it with them into their day-to-day lives? We certainly share tastes, especially when it comes to artwork and graphic style. It's the mode of living that makes us have to stop and think. Just how much fur finds its way into the coffee cup of real life? Our next definition is fandom, referring to fans collectively as of a motion picture star or professional game or sport. Or the much better definition, which comes from 1903, the realm of avid enthusiasts. It's such an excellent definition because it leaves it open to any group to be enthusiastic of literally anything. This definition can let us apply fandom to just about any excited group of people. The last definition, I promise, is a word used by Fur Science and the International Anthropomorphic Research Project, and it's fanship. Quick aside, might I suggest the IARP change their name to Project of Anthropomorphics in Western Sociology, or PAWS. Anyway, moving on. Social psychologists who study fan groups make a distinction between two related concepts: fandom, which we just talked about, and fanship. Fandom refers to a person's identification with others who share in a similar interest to them. In contrast, fanship refers to the extent to which a person identifies with an interest in something. For example, the clock fan high on fanship, but low on fandom may enjoy collecting and repairing clocks, but finds little interest in doing so with others. Reversely, a clock fan low on fanship, but high on fandom, may repair clocks with their friends, not for the love of clocks, but for a love of being part of the clock community. Before you say the distinction is trivial, these same psychologists have suggested that a person's fandom and fanship can predict their attitudes, feelings, and behaviors in different contexts. I made this handy chart to get this point across. So up here we have hobby, like a collection of media, mild participation, done for pleasure in the spare time like we already said, and it may involve selling, but the goal isn't for money. It may be done in private, and it's a weekly or monthly activity. For example, a cosplayer or a comic book collector. Over on this side we have fanship. They enjoy the media, but they have low participation. They have a distance or a private life. They keep it separate from the rest of their daily activities. It's maybe a yearly activity, or maybe there's no activity at all. Maybe they just lurk. Down here we have a lifestyle, a larger displayed collection of media, high participation. Maybe it's their business or their work, or maybe it's spiritual. They're heavily involved in the community with daily activity. And lastly, fandom, community over content. They have high participation, they have friends, a network. It's a social enterprise. We can imagine lots of crossover with these definitions. For example, hobby, fanship, private collector with low interaction. Think of someone who has a character and commissions a lot of artwork, but doesn't otherwise interact with the community or actively build relationships in it. Hobby, lifestyle. They enjoy showing off their hobby and have managed to integrate it into their everyday life. Think of when a collector has amassed so much they open like a museum to show it all off. Or they buy and trade or rent it out. Or if a fursuiter decided to become a birthday party performer. Or there's the hobby fandom, which I think is likely the biggest group. You can't really have one without the other. People who build on their hobby and create relationships around it. Think of a professional gamer who goes to a convention and makes lots of amazing lifelong friendships with other gamers. Then there's lifestyle and fandom, the gun-ho doer. They probably run a table and sell their wares or services, or they host a panel at their event. They make relationships with other businesses, artists, creators, and enjoy having both the social activities and also the business activities. Lifestyle fanship, so this is the down to business person. They arrive at a convention just to buy something or commission someone. Or maybe they run a table and they don't interact with anyone afterwards or attend any events at the convention. Or maybe they run a fan service like as an admin for a major website. Fandom and fanship. This is someone who only lets their flag fly at events or with their tight-knit circle of friends or other safe spaces like online. They have friends, but they also have a foot out in the real world. It's almost like a hobby, but they mostly attend events just to be with their friends. Fandom is a powerful word. It holds a lot of weight these days, as we have fandoms for just about anything you can think of. Most of it is for popular media or based on popular media. Furry is a rare breed in that it's about media that's popular only in the way that its users create it. That furries are, for the most part, responsible for almost all of the media we collectively celebrate. During the presentation at CanFurence, I showed a clip of Mike Rignetta speaking at the XOXO Festival in 2013. Obviously, we don't want to get into copyright trouble, so we can't show the whole clip here and now. Click the link in the description to watch the whole video. It's about 20 minutes long, but if you like Culturally Apt, then you'll love this talk on fandom and furries. To preface the clip, Mike is talking about how the
deconstructive internet
reshapes traditional media and
the constructive internet
creates relationships and communities. Mike goes on to talk about fandoms as internet communities and the internet as a user experience and the strange intersection of a fandom without canonical media, i.e. furry.
Certainly there must be a fandom without canonical media. There is, and that fandom is furries.
With his input on community, we can look at these categories like relationships and activity. What kind of relationships do you have with the fandom? And to what degree do you participate? That may tell you if you are a furry hobbyist, a fandom member, if it encompasses a whole lifestyle, or just a guilty pleasure. Have you ridden your hobby right into a lifestyle or a fandom? Or maybe you started in the fandom and slowly grew it into a hobby. Mike points out that there is no consensus inside furry or outside to what furry is. That it defines both the group and the individual. No matter which way you scritch it, we are all here for the same reason. We're furries. What do you think? How would you define your interactions with the ambiguous furry culture? Let me know down in the comments, and Rusty will respond to some of them in next week's Apt Update. I have been your host, RK, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, quick update with me, Rusty Shackelford, the best host of Culturally Effed, obviously. What I'm really here to tell you is that we have a new poll until November 27th. That's a Sunday. It's the day after Furcast, anyway. We have a poll open to figure out which t-shirt we're going to put into production. We have Wolf Bait, which is a play on my own Wolf Bait t-shirt, which I like, but Underbite thinks this one is better. We have It's Not Furry, it's Fluff Punk, because they got Diesel Punk and they got Steampunk, but Furry now has Fluff Punk. And the last design, based on this painting right here by J.C. Leyendecker, painting from 1905. It's a full print t-shirt. That's design number 3. So click the link in the description and vote for your favorite. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, you will be entered into a draw to get a free t-shirt for the winning design. If 2 t-shirts are tied, guess what? We're going to print them both, and then you get to pick, when you win the draw, which t-shirt we're going to give you. With the poll done by the 27th, we're hoping to have a store open for you to start buying t-shirts by December 1st. To learn more, please follow us on all the social medias, where we will announce when they're available, where they are available. We got ya. You got us. Fucking t-shirts, man.